Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Wednesday. What is today, May 9th? And really a nice day all around. So we got S&P finishing up right around a 1% on the day. What were futures? Futures, yeah, we're up 1%. Q's up 1.1%. IWM trailed a little bit, but has been the leader, up a little bit over 0.5%. Sector-wise, just talk about really quickly. Sector-wise, the internet names, the the internet ETF was up 2.2% today. That's FDN. I can bring that up, and then we'll talk about the S&P. We'll talk about some index charts. We'll also talk about what's really been working, and I will be taking a small victory lap on the conference call. We've just been setting up things so well. I think trade-wise, and we really kind of caught which way things are moving. So you take a look at this, right? And I'll go back, like I said, I'll go back to the S&P chart in 1 second. But so many names, of the tech, either large cap tech, mid cap tech, small cap tech, are all hitting 52-week highs. FDN, which I am long. Back close to a 52-week high. So, it's funny because you look at that S&P chart and you're like, okay, great, we're coming out of that triangle pattern. But so many names are already there, and are even a little bit extended. So this was your best performer. Of course, energy was strong. Biotech was also pretty strong today. Got a lift. We saw a little bit of call buying finally a little bit of call buying in the in the biotech space today. So energy was strong. Solar names were strong on the back of that California ruling about having solar panels on your roof. Cyber names were strong. I mean, pretty full participation. Semis were strong. Financials were strong. So just about everything. Industrials were up over 1% as well. Just a couple areas that did not perform. Chinese internet names were down a little bit. There was a couple earnings names out that brought that group down. I did buy the dip a little bit on that group. Home builders were also down 1.8%. Airlines were also down. Utilities, which continue to kind of move down. So I think pretty good for risk on tape. So I'm going to go through a couple charts. Let me just talk about the S&P first, because I know that's what everybody focuses on. Yes, we're out of the triangle pattern, but right, if you've just been trading the S&P, while it had a great today, and has put in, how many consecutive days of green candles, starting with what last Wednesday was the reversal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row, and from one, and sometimes that works with these triangle patterns, as you go one end of the point to the other. Just when you think you're going to break down, you actually snap and go higher. So, I would say pretty great across the board. Nasdaq, might as well just look at Nasdaq as well. Did take out this virgin point of control, but also, now above this. So overall, Nasdaq not close to 52 weeks high. So again, it really depends upon the stocks that you're trading. IWM small caps, which I again always view as a leading indicator, this started to show signs of life. I guess you could draw a triangle pattern here as well, but very close to a 52-week high for small caps as well. So all right, so let's start talking about one of the things that I want to talk about, which is basically 5-day. This is 5-day ETF flows. This is something that I put out every day on Twitter in the morning, so you can kind of see. But big inflow to tech. But interesting, if you look at the 5 days, right? And I talked about this in the trading room, so I apologize to kind of duplicate a little bit of what we talked about earlier. But most of these other sectors, and again, if you go by one through the sectors, you kind of will see what this points to is over $2 billion of tech inflows over 5 days. Look at all the other sectors over 5 days. The only other sectors that have seen inflows are the materials, energy, and again, like everything is under like $150 million versus tech. It's been all tech, even though energy has also been performing wonderfully. But if you go through some of these charts, the only thing, and it's very, like I said in the beginning of the call, it's various different groups of technology. So you could look at XLK. My favorite is IGV. IGV, up to a 52-week high today. That's, if you watched my Bloomberg appearance 2 weeks ago, that was the, when people were talking about tech possibly breaking down, I said, no way. There's a lot of strength. It's just been a couple of the bigger names that weren't performing, but there was really good outperformance in names like, Salesforce, right? 52-week high. Adobe, 52-week high. So, some of these names, I'm going to talk about strategy in just a second, but I mean, you got what you were looking for, and these were all names. If you look at what I talked about in last week's newsletter, again, like I said, I would give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. I don't do that often, so I'm doing it here. I talked about how, in the beginning of the newsletter, this is what you get if you're a Tribeca Trade Group member, by the way. We talked about how it looked like there was some light at the end of the tunnel. I said keep an eye on support levels, but it looked like we were, starting to make the moves in a lot of areas. And what I talked about, look at the names that I said to watch for long setups. ITA, and we could put this over here. So again, bear with me while I give the little bit of a, look at what ITA has done since. Really nice move. That's the defense stocks. Boeing, I mentioned. Boeing has done really well. Raytheon, which has done really nice. Off of support. Look at the move off of the support. I talked about how I got long, I got long the ITA, which is aerospace and defense. I got long semis on last Friday as well. Look at what semis have done. They've ripped since coming off that 200-day moving average. I talked about the MACD crossover, really, really strong looking. NVIDIA, I talked about Intel, Applied Materials. I talked about the IGV, was showing the strength as well. So again, these are names I'm long. I talked about watch Salesforce. So again, you look at Salesforce, 52-week high. So again, really strong. I brought up already the chart of Adobe. So again, this is what I put out in the newsletter to get ready. Look at Splunk. I got out of Splunk yesterday. I left a little bit on the table, but that's okay. You're not going to be able to time every trade for Splunk, but man, we caught a really nice winner in Splunk last week. I think now is the right time to be taking profits in that name, but hey, I took it off yesterday. My trade of the day, which I put on yesterday, I put this out on Twitter. By the way, I put most of my trades out on Twitter, not exactly not exactly when I enter them, but I put this stuff all out on Twitter, whether I'm long or whether I'm short. But V, look at the move today in V. We put this on yesterday, up 3.3%, a crusher. I'm still long this name a little bit after taking some targets. But, the enterprise software, application software, I talk about these names all the time. I talked about PayPal was probably the best option activity that we saw last week. Making a move, not as big as some of the other moves like Square, but still has been earning a lot of money. I mean, it was here, it's up to here now, so it's working. Devon Energy, my goodness, Devon Energy. We actually put this on. We added to this yesterday in the room on the weakness. Look at this sucker go, and I'm shooting for the VPOC to take the last portion of Devon. BHP got going today too. So I mean. And that's it. I mean, that's all I had in the newsletter. Look at PHP, very strong today. So that was it. So thank you for reading, and look at those setups. Again, I did not alter this newsletter at all. These were all the names that I talked about, that trade ideas and stocks that I'm watching, stocks that I own. So really kind of pleased with the analysis. So what to do at this point, right? So we've talked about how it's been mainly tech and energy. Financials got going as well this week. Finally, I'm long a little bit of Morgan Stanley. Still, this one's coming out of. I did not add to this when it got the 200-day moving average. Possibly I should have, but pretty darn strong looking. I'm also long TD Ameritrade, which is looking close to making a 52-week high. So a lot of names. For the most part today, I really didn't add. I could talk about today's option activity. I think the option activity, you're going to find that some people who that's all they do are going to exaggerate the option flow. But it's really, here's the main trades. Very short-term stuff. There was a little bit of dip buying in Walmart today. SLCA was SEP. And again, this is just mainly aggressive sweeps when calls go up above the ask, when they sweep multiple exchanges. MGM was a good looking trade today, which we talked about yesterday. That was another name. I owned Win, and I owned, I talked about Win on Twitter. I called that out for people on Twitter today. Really nice move. Closed on the highs. I took my trade and I rolled it out, so really nice profits on this one. MGM, which I bought last week, I just thought it was an overreaction to their earnings. A lot of call buying after earnings, so did really, really nice. So again, just a lot of names that. So for me, it was a lot of managing of existing trades, not taking too many trades today. More box went up today, but again, look at all short term. Even Micron, which I'll go over the Micron chart. I think Micron looks pretty good. Again, I didn't want to add into today's strength, but we talked about this midday in the room. A lot of things going on here. Breaking of a downward trend line, MACD crossover. Now in value, you've got your support lined up, but I think Micron sets up really well. If you want to continue to play in the tech space. But again, some very small. I mean, look at how small these trades are. Danaher was December, but again, May. Celgene, we saw some calls today, which we played in the room today. Either weeklies or May or next week's calls. So, this to me, I mean, the Akamai was an interesting trade, but again, very short term stuff to play as day trades, not so much swing trades. I would say 80-90% of the trades, while we're pretty good and aggressive, they're all short term trades. 75-80%. So you have to be able to kind of look at some of those other setups, like all those other setups that I said that I brought up are, some of them have seen a little bit of call buying. For the most part, most of them have not. So, great to kind of look to see what they did today. I think the Akamai worked really well. I bought some Junipers as well today. I dumped them at the close. Just happy with what I did today. For the most part, so most of the trades that I'm talking about, and with a lot of these names that are already at 52-week highs, you can look for some names that haven't participated. Like I have my eye on FCX, but for the most part, today was about for me on the option side, not so much on the in my cash portfolio, which I'm long names like Rig. I got long Rig this week, which also saw some call buying today. But those names I leave as is. I let the winners run in cash positions, and I make sure that I ratchet up stop prices. But for option positions, this was a ring the register today. And I even said this. I even said that this morning. Before the S&P was up 1%. So I continue to do that. I'm continuing to. Google was a trade I put on earlier in the week. I took half off of Google. Look at this thing today. Beautiful looking candle today out of the 50-day moving average, that purple line on the chart. But again, that's what trading is all about. Taking money off into strength, not necessarily chasing. No new trades, no new swing trades for me today. All exits. Besides the day trades in the room today. And then, we'll see what happens. I have a feeling at some point we'll get another day where, we get a red day and we'll be able to buy more things. But so many names that I've been trading are at 52-week highs and starting to look a little extended. Yes, I think some names can go higher, like I talked about Vive. So again, for me, I've now said it a few times now on this call, but take your profits, roll out and up, just like hedge funds do, like we see on the tape. And rinse and repeat. For now, I would say my cash balance is the highest it's been in the last 2-3 weeks, and this way I can kind of sit and not worry about what the market's going to do overnight, and just actively wait and not really need to kind of press things to the long side. But wait and just watch the signals and be very neutral and objective about the market, considering that it's kind of, I hate to say the term, but mission accomplished in terms of all the setups that we've been talking about. So today was a victory day, and I'm okay with saying that because I took a lot of money off the table today. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And yeah, I mean, if you're not a member and you've been watching these videos, get involved. TribecaTradeGroup.com. and we'll rinse and repeat and put on some new trades when the opportunities are right. We'll kind of wait and watch and be there right as those trades look pretty good. So thanks for watching and have a great night. Again, you can get involved $7 for the first week, so no excuse not to. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.